I wanna fight with Sean O'Malley. Let's go. Looking for a fighter winner versus contender series winner, and we'll see who's better. Sean O'Malley, keep smoking. I will keep training, and we'll see who's better. Let's do this.
So Merab has been chasing this fight since 2018, and he finally now got it. And even after his last performance against Henry Cejudo, he was not guaranteed this fight, even though he was on a 10-fight win streak in the UFC. But while Sean was learning how to wrestle, Merab was tearing through top opposition. This deliberate drowning style is a problem in general. It's just a problem. I think Merab also needs those high amplitude takedowns and throws, and he should be able to get them because he has a good judo background and he has been able to use it in the past. To get to a good clinch position against a striker like Sean O'Malley might be tough, but he may be able to do that through chain wrestling between the lower parts of the body and the upper part. The slams may break the ballerina. But now we are at a point where it has been undeniable that Merab is the number one guy. He's probably one of the most deserving title contenders in a long time, and Sean had to fight him. And this is the guy that Sean O'Malley claims would literally kill Merab because he's a little bit bigger. Oh my god. This guy must be the prime example of a saying, people who cannot do, they teach.
Got the takedown.
Let's look at Sean's fight against their shared opponent, Petr Yan.
He's got a turn back again, gets his hands locked under the butt, puts him down.
If this is happening to you against Petr Yan, I wonder. I gotta wonder. Again, good moments for Sean here, but soon after gets answered heavily from Petr Yan. Oops, another takedown.
Not expecting to be able to secure the hips of O'Malley. Champion.
10 minutes. O'Malley, left hand.
This, I admit, can be a problem for Merab. If he gets opened up early, Merab obviously is not going to stop, and it's not going to affect him much in terms of fighting, but the doctor may step in and stop the fight. You see this face? Remember this face.
Aljamain was out here earlier that we talked about 288 when Merab had your jacket on. I know it's an intense moment, but looking back on it, do you see some humor in that, or was that something you didn't find funny?
No, I thought it was silly. I mean, I didn't recognize Merab. How funny is that? I thought he was just a f***ing worker. I handed Merab my jacket. Like, that's hilarious. I didn't know who Merab was. That's funny. I find it very funny.
Sean O'Malley does claim that he didn't know who Merab was until the Aljamain fight, but obviously this is just mind games, and this is just him avoiding the responsibility that he's been called out for a very long time now, and hasn't even responded to the call out in any shape or form against a fellow UFC fighter. And in the day and age of internet, the fact that people are tagging you and he's calling you out on different platforms, including the UFC telecast. For you not to know who he is, I think it's not unlikely, but actually impossible.
If I was bigger, me versus Cheeto rematch or versus me versus Merab. I mean, I'm pretty sure we could all agree on which one's bigger. I'm in the fight business. I've been saying that. I've never been afraid to say that. This is a business to me. Who makes more money, me versus Merab or me versus Cheeto? It's very simple to me.
Even though Sean did do everything in his power, in my opinion, to avoid this fight with his post-fight tweets, etc., especially after his title victory, him claiming that Chito Vera was a bigger fight, I don't think so. Chito Vera is not a huge star. Even though they have a history, it was not a bigger fight than against Merab Dvalishvili, who everybody knew was the #1 contender.
I want to fight O'Malley because I was calling him since 2018.
I think Sean's camp understood really well that he had to avoid guys like Merab, and specifically Merab, before finding his way to the top. And it would take time, several years to get there probably, which it did. And meanwhile, he was developing his grappling, his distance management better against grapplers and against wrestlers, which he has obviously demonstrated he has developed fairly well. But will it hold up against Merab on Saturday?
Yeah, and again, he had a great performance too. Henry didn't look great by any means, but Merab did what he does, and he almost gets knocked out and then wins. Cheeto's not an easy fight, so yeah, Merab's a tough fight. Cheeto's a tough fight. Ilya's a tough fight. I'm not. They're all tough fights.
Did this clown just compare Ilia Topuria to Chito Vera? So here are Merab's keys to victories. Number one is control, right? He has to be able to stay in a close range or in a completely inside clinching range or on the ground. Once he gets the takedowns, he should be able to control Sean O'Malley. That would have to be the focus in the camp. That should have been something that he was working on, Merab. And if I was in his camp, that's exactly what I would tell him to work on, is to hold people down. And guess what? Sean is not notoriously hard to hold down. He has been held down by Piotr Jan not too long ago, and I think he is not the toughest guy to hold down. Also, there are some rumors coming out from his camps. Henry Cejudo has mentioned that he has trouble getting up against some of the wrestlers, and I think Merab can capitalize on that and tire him out on the ground during the first 2 or 3 rounds where Sean would be the most dangerous. And I don't believe that all 5 rounds Sean will pose the same risk to Merab as in the first one, for instance. Over time, if Sean cannot knock Merab out, I think Merab will just run through him over time, and he will have just very hard time stopping and surviving, which may lead to a finish as well. In that I agree with Henry Cejudo as well, that this is one of those cases where Sean's fragility in the past and Merab's physicality in the past and hopefully in the future as well will prove very hard for Sean to survive for 5 rounds. But let's see. But obviously the safe bets still remain Sean by knockout or Merab by decision. I think Sean cannot win by decision pretty much. That would be a big surprise for me if they told me that the result is decision. I'm saying right away it was Merab who got the nod. It would be a huge shock for me. I think it's less than 10% chance for Sean to get the decision win because of the stylistic matchup. If it got to the final bell, it has got to be Merab who gets the hand raised, unless it's the robbery of the century or unless some crazy things happened during the fight which were unexpected by anybody. For Sean, obviously, he needs the space. Okay, he needs to keep the space. He will need the movement, and he will have to be in a condition to move around a lot until he reaches his goal of potentially knocking Merab out. If Merab can do what he does and stay in this range, it will be very hard for Sean to deal with him, even in the standing up position. And this is where I have to slightly disagree with Merab when he says that I stood with Aldo and I did great. Yeah, it's not like he was outclassed in striking or he would be outclassed, but it was not striking match. Merab does what he does well, and he did against Aldo, he did better even against Jan, where he just stays in your face, where striking becomes very hard to do, especially when you have a high-level wrestler always grabbing you, always shooting on your legs, always trying to take you down, letting you go back to the shot again, go with the punches while disengaging. It's a very hard thing to deal with, and this is how he has been able to beat a lot of strikers. But it's not about striking. In the stand-up, while they're standing upright, Merab may be right. He may be able to stand with anybody in that regard, but he has to be careful coming in. And obviously, Sean wants to find those spots in the boxing range where he has enough distance and space for him to use his rangy, lanky style body and do some damage against Merab as he has done against others as well. To be super honest, I think Aljo fight was an early stoppage a bit, okay? Especially when it's a title fight, you have to give the champion or even the challenger, I would say, a bit more opportunities to survive, and especially when the guy is turning over and trying to escape. And it's not like Sean was on top. Sean was still in the standing position, basically chasing Aljo, which was smart on his move in that regard. But guess what? That unless you severely hurt the guy, that allows for the opponent, in this case for Aljo, to get away and have more mobility and more space to move around and get to his feet and get away, basically. Another fight, Petr Yan fight. Disclosure: I was in the arena that night in Abu Dhabi, and I felt like that Sean won the fight. Okay, when I was watching from the arena, I don't see the facial expressions. Okay, every punch that a favorite or the fan favorite throws gets a big reaction, whatever. I felt like Sean may have won just on the damage, but having rewatched the fight on the screen, man, I had to go with Yan. Okay, if I'm the judge, that's a loss in Sugar Sean's record. And if you go and look at Jan's record as well, only guy he got dominated by was Merab. That it was pure domination that you can't argue, even though he does argue with that, but anybody who is not biased cannot argue that against the result. And you have to be honest about it. That's the only fight Yan got dominated in, and Sean, in my honest opinion, if I'm the judge, that's a loss in his record, okay? Then he fights for the title defense, number 7 guy. Let's forget the number 7 guy, but that's a guy who has been beaten in the past, has been beaten after that convincingly, and he can't even finish him. Okay, yeah, he, granted, he's a very tough guy, Chito Vera, and he's hard to finish. But also you could put the same argument towards Merab. All the guys he's fought lately were incredibly hard to finish, and pretty much they rarely get finished. Very durable, very elite level athletes, ex-world champions not too long ago. And also fight against ex-gold medalist, I think points to Merab being the guy to potentially beat Sean O'Malley. I have to go with my man Merab. He has visited my academy also several times. We have even shared the mats together. And this is his time, okay? This is his chance. This is the fight he has been pursuing for a long time. This fight has been kind of written to be made, and I think this may be his moment. Okay, unless he makes some critical errors, and several of them, I think he should be able to get his hand raised. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, especially if you're a fanboy of Sugar Sean O'Malley. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody, and try to be objective about the fight, and I like to hear anybody's opinion, and also some of the points that I made. If you want to criticize them, feel free. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want the second belt to go to Georgia, or if you want the second belt to stay with the United States. This right here is an absolute nightmare. An Olympic gold medalist gets deep on a shot and gets repeatedly punched instead of finishing the takedown. Where you at, Umar?